Red Bull team principal Christian Horner has taken to social media to vow that his best is yet to come, and he looks to keep his team one step ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. Horner began his Red Bull career 17 years ago, and he's helped lead a brand new team to the very top of motorsport. Horner was tasked with helping an energy drink company battle with some long-standing car manufacturers, such as Mercedes, Ferrari, Williams and McLaren. And Horner has more than exceeded in his role, with his first major success coming in 2010. Red Bull created a car that was unbeatable, and Sebastian Vettel won 4 consecutive drivers' championships. F1 bosses introduced the turbo hybrid era from 2013, and Mercedes returned to the top of the standings, scooping 7 consecutive drivers' and constructors' championships. In the final year of those regulations, Red Bull were able to fight back as Horner helped Verstappen win his maiden world title. After what has been a tense and grueling fight over the past decade, Horner shows no sign of giving up and has warned Lewis Hamilton that he and Red Bull are only going to get better. 17 years ago today, as a fresh-faced 31-year-old, I joined Red Bull Racing. Seems like yesterday. What an incredible journey it's been so far, with an amazing group of people, and the best is yet to come. Happy New Year, #Red Bull Racing. There are some concerns that Red Bull put most of their resources into their 2021 car and may not be at the same level in 2022. But Horner has recently dismissed those suggestions, insisting Verstappen will be able to battle Hamilton once again. When Ferrari turned up with the fastest car and smashed us out of the park at the first race, then you'll have to say that it probably did. But I think we've all known that big regulation changes are coming for 2022, and we've applied our resources accordingly. I'm sure each team has done what they feel is right, and it's put pressure on the organisation. That's where I think the team has been outstanding, because to keep a development rate on a new set of regulations and keep a focus on this year's car has taken a monumental effort. The commitment shown by all of the team throughout the team has been phenomenal. Horner and his Mercedes counterpart Toto Wolff are anticipating a resurgence from Ferrari in 2022 that could see the Scuderia challenging for the World Championship. Ferrari have endured a couple of painful years in the midfield, but took significant strides forward in 2021, rising from 6th in the constructors' standings to 3rd. In Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, they have a pair of fast, young drivers who delivered impressive performances this season on the few occasions their machinery allowed them to compete with the leaders. It's pretty much possible that teams who hadn't competed for the World Championship this year, whether it's Ferrari, McLaren or Aston Martin or Alpine, are capable of coming up with the intelligent concepts based on much more runs than everybody else and just doing it very right, Toto Wolff said. I think we need to expect much closer fighting for championships and races than we ever had before, and that's exciting. There really is a huge excitement building ahead of the new season. Just one big thing remains to be confirmed. Will Lewis Hamilton be returning? There are huge doubts over Lewis Hamilton's future 12 months ago, when Mercedes let their starman's contract expire at the turn of the new year. It took over 2 months for both parties to come to an agreement, which was uncomfortably close to the new season. Hamilton only penned a 12-month extension, but that put to bed any rumours of him quitting F1 in the immediate aftermath. Hamilton went on to extend his contract to the end of 2023 campaign midway through the season. However, his future is back in the spotlight after the title loss to Max Verstappen in Abu Dhabi. Hamilton has not spoken publicly since that eventful day and has unfollowed everyone on Instagram. The usually vocal star may not fulfill his contract and return for the 2022 campaign, and Sky Sports F1 expert Martin Brundle explained why Hamilton may not want to call time on his illustrious career. "My gut feeling is he'll stop a year earlier rather than a year late," he said. "He's not going to hang on until the bitter end for a few more dollars or just to be a Formula One driver, and nor will he need to. He's obviously got other ambitions in his life, but I can't imagine why he would want to stop in the next 5 years, or certainly 3. Why would he? Michael Schumacher retired at the age of 43 after winning 7 world titles, but in his final year, he finished 13th in the Drivers' Championship with Mercedes. Brundle does not reckon Hamilton will follow in a similar path and continuing racing when he's no longer challenging for the major honours. He reckons the 37-year-old would rather step away from the sport while he's still dominating, but not before 2024. His eyesight, his reactions, nothing has fallen away. If you're going to start fading, you're on a gentle slope, and he doesn't appear to have started that slope yet. Michael was in his 40s when he retired, and he started making a lot of mistakes, and most of us did. You start having crashes at the end and you don't know why that happened. That's what it looks like Sebastian is to me right now. Lewis has not got to that point, and nothing has been his match. And Martin Brundle isn't the only one to cast doubts over Hamilton's F1 career. F1 legend Alain Prost is the latest to cast fresh doubt on the future of Hamilton as he continues his vow of public silence. And now Alain Prost, himself a 4-time world champion, has voiced his fears that Hamilton could be finished after the hammer blow of last season. Prost, who currently works as an advisor to the Alpine racing team, explained his reasoning in a recent interview. It's difficult to put yourself in his shoes. He surely has had many reasons to stop as to continue, he said. He's taken a big blow to the head and he could be finished, but it would be really sad if he wasn't there this season. The 2022 season will see new technical regulations brought into F1 with the aim of making the sport more competitive. It's a notion that could lead to a number of drivers outside of Mercedes and Red Bull suddenly in the mix for the title. And despite his concerns, Prost hopes the prospect of a new fresh challenge will persuade Hamilton to put his indifference aside to continue his career. I want to stay optimistic because there's this 8th title to go and this new technical regulation with maybe 3 teams on point and 4 or 5 drivers vying for the title. It's a challenge that Hamilton might want to take on, he added. Of course, Prost himself is no stranger to controversial finishes to an F1 season, famously going to the wire with then McLaren teammate Ayrton Senna in 1989. In the final race at Suzuka, Japan, the two bitter rivals collided when Prost blocked an attempted pass by Senna. Prost was ruled out of the race while the Brazilian icon returned to the track, proceeding to win the race, only then to be later disqualified for the way in which he was given help by marshals to carry on. The ruling gave the Frenchman his 3rd world title. Despite Prost's concerns about Hamilton's future, another world champion has offered another point of view as to why he thinks Hamilton may return next season. Sebastian Vettel has backed Lewis Hamilton's calls for Formula One to be more sustainable and do better to cut their carbon footprint, with a huge 23 races planned this season. Hamilton has often spoken out about how the sport could do more to help save the planet, raising serious concerns about the rising temperatures and how F1 is contributing globally. In 2019, F1 launched their first ever sustainability strategy with an ambitious target to be a net zero carbon sport by 2030, having 100% renewably powered offices, facilities and factories, and ultra-efficient and low-zero carbon logistics and travel. F1 is looking into biofuels, fuels that's made from plant or algae material or animal waste, pledging it will run sustainably made fuels from 2030 onwards as they look to become pioneers in sustainability in the sport. But F1 is getting bigger as the championship visits 23 locations in 2022 across 22 different countries. To take a stand against racism and inequality, Formula One also introduced its We Race as One campaign, with Lewis Hamilton leading anti-racism pre-race demonstrations. But despite pledges to do better, Vettel believes that there's plenty more that could be done if they had the courage to do so. To the outside world, Formula One always wants to come across as nice and open in its communications, but frankly, internally, it lacks that courage. More is already happening than 10 years ago, but so much more could be done. There's a lot of room for improvement when it comes to possible reforms. Our sport is fast and progressive in many ways. For example, in terms terms of technology and the innovations that go with it. But in terms of thinking, we're not exactly pioneers. That's because it's easy to hang on to old things. We're doing so well, everything is good as it is. Of course, that's not going to save the world, but it is about setting an example and showing that things can be done differently. The 4-time world champion was pictured litter picking at the end of the British Grand Prix as he urged fans to take their rubbish home or in the bin.